Hey, what's going on, guys? This is a tutorial on how to mute music in your Twitch VODs and clips using multi-track audio on OBS and Voicemeeter. Now, fair warning, this is going to change your entire audio setup on your PC as it is right now, but it will mute all music going to your Twitch VODs. It will still play to your Twitch live stream if you want it that way, so it will protect against any problems that might happen after the VOD is already up, or you might want it to export it to YouTube. But as for live audio, this is not a guarantee to avoid DMCA, although we will touch on that. So let's just jump into it right now. First things first, as a disclaimer, this method will work on normal OBS, but is not guaranteed to work on Streamelements OBS or Streamelements OBS.Live, as those apps might not have updated their programs yet to support this feature. If you are using Streamlabs or Streamelements, I would recommend first exporting all of your settings and profiles onto an external folder and fully uninstalling those programs before you move on and installing the newest version of OBS. Another disclaimer is that these settings might not work if you already use Voicemeeter Banana for your microphone. For those settings, you might need to change your inputs for Voicemeeter or use a different version of Voicemeeter as well as a different audio cable. Okay, so the first thing that you want to do is you want to go to this website, vb-audio.com/voicemeeter, and you want to check Banana. I believe that the other ones might work. It's just how many inputs that we have selected, but this one should work. Also, you want to go to virtual audio cable, the first tab here, and download this for Windows. I'm not sure how this works on Mac. This is the only tutorial for Windows as it is right now. But after you download and install both these things, you will need to restart your computer after each install. So once those are installed, we'll get to the next step. Okay, now that we've installed Voicemeeter Banana and virtual audio cable, first thing we want to do is open up the Voicemeeter software after it's installed and open up our sound settings by right-clicking the speaker on our taskbar and opening sound settings on Windows, as well as our sound control panel. Okay, now this might look different depending on how many devices you use and what you use. Currently, it will be set to your default device as whatever you have it set to, whether that's your speakers or your headphones, but we will want to change our default device to Voicemeeter input, not aux input. We want to set it to our default device as well as our default comms device. This is everything that is going to route your audio to whatever speakers or headphones that you are currently using for your stream. Now, before we actually set our default device, let's go to Voicemeeter and change our settings. We want to set hardware input to cable output. This is going to be where all your music is going to, and you want to set your hardware out A1 here to whatever speakers or headphones that you're previously using as your default device. For me, it's speakers to high definition audio device. I have to plug into my line out. Might depend for you. One issue that I did have is that my front IO on my PC case didn't have updated drivers, so I was getting a little bit of staticky audio. So just to be safe, I switched my ports. So if you have the same issue, try that out. Might need to make some changes, but that is what works for me. One other thing you're gonna notice is that you might see different things listed for your audio sources here, such as WDM, KS, and MME. These are all different ways that the computer will process the audio using a buffer. So if we go to our system settings, we can actually see that WDM, currently I have it set to 256. The default is 512. I have it 256, so we get less latency on our audio. Another thing I have set is WDM input exclusive mode. This just gives the software exclusive control over your audio devices, as well as I have the engine mode on Swift. Now, one concern that you might have is latency latency your devices. That's why I have WDM set to the lowest possible I have without any crackling or wonky audio. So just to be safe, we have that set to this value. One thing you can do just to make sure that your audio is working correctly is go to menu and click restart audio engine. You might need to do this a few times on your initial setup. A few other settings that we want to enable are system trays, just to make sure that we have Voicemeeter right here on our taskbar, as well as run on Windows startup, just so that every time you restart your PC, you don't have to open up Voicemeeter, make sure that everything works correctly. It should just be good to go every time you restart. Like I said earlier, this is going to change your entire audio setup on your PC as it is right now. Now, if you ever want to change your volume or anything, you might want to use Voicemeeter from now on. You can still use the Windows media keys to change your volume as we can see in the top left here, or you can still refer to the sound control panel, go back to your default device that you were using, change the properties from here, the listening levels, but that might be quite a few extra steps that might be annoying for you. You can change your output volume from voice meter directly. You can check this first output we have here, A1, which we set to our speakers. To anything we want to lower the volume, we can even increase the volume. Careful with that though. And if you ever want to set it back to 0, just double click, goes back to 0. Now, since our music is also going to cable outputs, we can also change music, you know, separately from our main audio outputs. Okay, so you can always change your music if you want to make it quieter for your stream or anything. You can also do that with OBS, but it's just something to keep in mind that you can change your volumes from voice meter now. Now, you want to make sure that all the devices that you want to use in this process are going to be using the same settings. So we go to our properties, and we go to levels. First of all, we have voice meter input set all the way to 100 because we want to have our max audio available. And as well as our advanced settings, we have set to 24-bit, 48,000 hertz. Now, this might depend on whatever devices that you're currently using, but we just want to make sure that they're all using the same settings in that regard. Currently, on my setup, I have my speakers 2 set to my headphones, and the levels I have here are 92. This is whatever that you have set for your own Windows devices, whatever you're using. And also, we're using 24-bit, 48,000, same thing as our other device, okay? Now, another thing that you want to notice is that we have another device here added is cable inputs, as well as in recording, we have cable output. Now, this is the cable that will be handling our music. So again, we check our properties, make sure they're all right. It's all the same settings, and we can move on. Now, as a disclaimer, if you're already using Voice Meter Banana for your microphone, these settings might not work for you, but they will work if you're not already using it. Okay, for our next step, we're going to go back to our Windows sound settings. So this is this menu on Windows 10. Make sure your Windows is updated, by the way, because we are going to be using a feature that is not available in previous versions of Windows. So we can see here our output device is the same that we chose earlier, voice meter input. Again, make sure this is our default device on our control panel. Okay, and you're going to see that your input is the same mic that you've been using. And down here, you'll see advanced sound options and app volume and device preferences. This is where we'll be able to set which programs we want muted on our VODs, clips, or even on our live stream. As you can see, we have a lot of our devices set to default, but a few of them are set to cable input. Now, cable input is the virtual audio cable that we will set all of our audio that we want muted on our Twitch VODs set to. You can see I have Firefox, as well as my Spotify, and even my Streamelements ground control set to cable inputs. This is all the audio I don't want sent to my Twitch VOD or clips, but I still want to be able to hear on my stream. Now, again, this does not protect against live DMCA takedowns, but we can still use this to potentially even mute music on our live stream, but still be able to hear it through our headphones. So any audio that you don't want sent to your Twitch VOD, we can select as cable inputs. Everything else can be set to defaults. Now, as for OBS, we can go to our audio settings and see that we have our desktop set to default, which is the voice meter input that we currently have, but we also want to set up a new device on our scene, or if you want it set to your second default, that's up to you, but we can add a new audio source, which I've already done here by going to the plus and adding audio output capture. Okay, not input. Input would be for a new microphone, but output would be something similar to desktop audio. For our music we have here, and we can look at properties, is our cable inputs, not the output. For input, which is all the music that we're sending to via Windows on this window right here. Now I can show you an example of music being sent to our desktop audio and to our music cable. Now I have a video here open on Chrome that will play through our desktop audio, since I have my Chrome set to my default audio. Okay, and that's on YouTube. And we can go back to our OBS mixer, and we see that desktop audio is currently moving, so we have audio going to our desktop audio. Okay, now if I play the same song on Spotify, you see that now the music is moving on our audio mixer and not desktop audio. The same thing will happen if I go on Firefox. Let's go back to our OBS. We can see again, music is moving and not desktop audio. Now I can play the same song at the same time on both Chrome and Firefox, and we will be able to hear both, but it'll be separated on our mixer. Again, this is on Firefox, you can hear music. And Chrome, we hear on our desktop audio. Okay, let's pause that for now. Our next step on OBS is opening our settings, and we're going to go to Outputs, and we're going to check Enable Advanced Encoder Settings, and Twitch VOD Track uses track 2. Now this is for output mode simple. For advanced, you'll also check Twitch VOD Track, and you'll check whichever track you want, which should be 2, just to keep things simple. Okay, let's go back to our OBS, and let's check our audio mixer. We're going to right click any of the gears here and click Advanced Audio Properties. Now, like I said, all of your live audio will go to track 1 and all of your VOD audio will go to track 2. Now, the only thing I don't want sent to my VOD is music, which I've renamed the audio output capture as. And right here, I have track 2 unselected. Now, you can also unselect it on your live stream if you don't want any audio to go to your live stream that is music, which might be Spotify or Firefox or wherever you have your audio set up. Now, just as a note, you cannot do this while you are live. You must do this while you are offline. Otherwise, your VOD audio might bug out and everything might be muted instead. Okay, one trick that we can do is while we're live, we want to listen to any music that viewers have sent or watch any videos that viewers have sent. And let's say you want to watch that on Firefox. Again, we already have that set to our cable output, so it's already muted on the VOD, just in case you're listening to any copyrighted music. Now, if you're also using Streamelements or Streamlabs, not sure exactly how Streamlabs would work in this case, but same thing goes for media requests. Okay, Streamlabs ground control app has its own audio output, right? We go to media requests, and now any music that's playing here will also be muted in the VOD. Like I said earlier, you can't change the tracks or sources that you want muted in your VOD while you're live, but because of this Windows feature, any app that you want to be muted while you're live, such as a program, you can just change the cable output or change back to default while you're live. This will get around having to change it through OBS. Okay, now for some troubleshooting. I did run into some issues while I was setting this up. One issue that I ran into was I had a bit of crackling when I tried connecting my headphones to my front I/O on my PC case. I found that I could only hear audio correctly when I ran my speakers and headphones through MME, but I did find that when I switched to my back I/O on my motherboard, that issue went away, and I was able to use WDM and get significantly less latency latencycycy. Another thing concerning latency latency is that my Bluetooth earbuds that I got weren't on the right frequency. They only went up to 44.1 kilohertz as opposed to 48 kilohertz, which we mentioned earlier. So I was getting a little bit more static there too. When I tried switching all my audio to 44.1, sometimes I ran into like some more latency, or it was just more of a pain just to get set up entirely. So I'd recommend that if you are running into latency problems with Bluetooth, you might just want to switch back to wired headphones, or if it's not a problem, then it's not a problem. You know, you're used to the latency and you can live with that. Another issue that I ran into that was pretty significant was I was using Streamelements OBS.Live rather than normal OBS, and I found that when I was testing my music on an alternate account just to make sure I didn't go live on my main account, that the music was still being sent to my VOD even though I selected the tracks on OBS beforehand. Now, I did have to manually wipe all of my settings from OBS. I had to do a fresh install of OBS, but I managed to import all of my settings from folders from the import feature, and now everything works perfectly. I recommend that you also just test on like an alternate account, or you go live and, you know, just make sure everyone knows that you're doing a test, and you delete your VODs if you do hear music appear on your streams. Again, this is not a permanent fix to preventing live DMCA takedowns, but it will prevent any music from being uploaded to your VOD, so it won't be flagged in the future. If you have any questions, feel free to reach out to me on Twitter, on Discord, on my Twitch, or in the YouTube comments below. I'll try to get back to any questions that anyone might have. Other than that, I didn't really have any other big issues. Just again, sometimes you need to restart the audio engine. Just make sure that your system settings are set correctly here. Your preferred sample rate, your buffer is as low as you can possibly get it. Some people might even get this to 128, right? But you just want to work in those iterations. A lot of things about Voicemeeter you can Google. This is just a tutorial on how to really split the audio for your OBS. Again, good luck, and thanks for watching. I'll see you guys when I see you. Peace.